Now, to talk more about the actual hockey aspect of the Danbury Trashers, it isn't just a matter in hockey of the owner of a team drafting players and saying, this is the play style I want. After your first season, there was a coaching change. Was there any difficulty speaking with the coaching staff and saying, this is the kind of game I want you to play? You may have your directions, but like, this is the end product. We don't care how you get there. Was there any conflict there?
You know, it's so funny. So many people have asked me after watching the documentary, they're like, who was the coaches of this team? Because it's like, they don't even, I think we had good coaches, but it was such a unique and unusual situation where it actually wasn't fair to them, I think, because I think the players police themselves like they typically do. It's almost like they coach themselves.
Right.
And as crazy as that sounds, and it was just such a weird blend in ingredients we had where a lot of times they look to me or my dad and be like, and I'm like, I'm not a coach. I played high school hockey, it was a very unfair situation for both the guys we had. But again, you talk about professional, they understood the situation too coming in. You know what I mean?
Sure, knew their roles.
Again, it kind of all played itself out. But it is kind of.
Let me ask you this: you say they looked to you. I know in the documentary at one point they looked up to the box where you were, and then the gloves dropped before the puck was even dropped, and they credit you with telling the guys that this is going to happen before the game. Is that a true story?
I think it was his dad. It was
my dad. So it was in the back of it was back in the day. Maybe you guys remember the old Nextel cell phones with the walkie-talkie. Yeah. And so we had, back in those days, we all had Nextels, and my father had one, and it was before the first game. And Tommy T-Bone, the equipment manager, I saw my dad start chirping, like using the walkie-talkie. I'm like, who's he talking to? We're about to have our first game, And I look down and I see T-Bone kind of pull a Nextel out of his pocket. And I'm like, I'm looking back and forth. And my dad's like, bleep, bleep. He's like, put Wingfield on. And I look, I'm like, what the hell is going on? I look down and I literally see T-Bone, Brad just, waiting for his shift or waiting to get on. And you see Tommy like give him the phone and Wingfield's looking at him like, what's wrong with you? And he takes it, Wingfield takes his glove off. He takes the phone. He's like, hello. And my dad was like, hey, listen, set the tone, get on the ice and drop your gloves. And thankfully there was
amazing.
And thankfully there was someone on the ice there to oblige with him. You know what I mean? Because, first shift, first game of the season, it's a lot of skilled guys at first. And it was like ripping the Band-Aid off in Danbury. It was kind of like, hey, this is what you're in store for as long as we can do it. Unfortunately, it was 2 seasons, and people just, they went nuts.
You pointed up to your dad and said, okay, I did my job, right?
Yeah. And I mean, we used to do that. We used to do that all the time. I mean, me and Marassi, it was like we were flashing gang signs to each other. We would be having like, it would be like talking in sign, like we'd be talking back, and people must have thought we were absolutely nuts. And a true story. I mean, I wish I could sit there and say, hey guys, we pulled the wool over your eyes for 18 years, but that's what it was.
You know what? We hope you enjoyed this clip from the Sign Off podcast. Full episodes are available every single Thursday on any podcast platform you use and YouTube. So make sure to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and we will see you next Thursday.